And now a word from a sponsor. Investing in the stock market can be risky with its volatility, and not only that, but it can be difficult figuring out how to even do it or finding someone trustworthy enough to help you. What if there was a safer investment that could bring you more financial return in the long run, something protecting you against inflation? What if you had someone there you could count on to walk you through the investing process? Precious metals like gold and silver are that much safer bet. They have always had a steady climb in prices, and with speculations by many that the US dollar may soon get back onto a metal-backed currency, the demand for these commodities is sure to increase. And luckily, the guys at NOBLEGOLD are here to help you navigate the market. They can help you get set up with a gold and silver IRA or invest in physical metals like their commemorative coins. To start learning more about metals, give them a call or check out one of their free ebooks. You can find their links in the description below. Yo, hey there everybody. Thanks for joining me here on Friday, March 8th. And in this show, we're going to be talking about this week's news regarding Big Pharma. We had congressional hearings happen earlier in the week about vaccines, and we have increased censorship on social media platforms regarding vaccine information. But we do have some good news. We have the resigning of the commissioner of the FDA and the news breaking in the mainstream about that gentleman being cured of AIDS. This is going to be a very heavy-hitting video, but these are important topics, and of course, they're topics that many people in general in our society don't know, so we have to go there. And we're going to begin with news that broke on Monday about autism and vaccines. So we're going to use NBC News rendition of this story. They title this one, "Another Study Finds No Link Between Autism and the MMR Vaccine." Okay, no link, all right. But check this out in the subtitle. This is what gets me. A large new study finds kids who got no childhood vaccines were more likely to be diagnosed with autism than kids who did get recommended vaccinations. So in this news story that went everywhere on Monday, they're not just saying that there's no link between autism and vaccines, but they are claiming that people who get more vaccines get less autism. People who get less vaccines get more autism. What? Okay, before we talk about this particular study and vaccines causing autism, I want to share with you two quotes that are pretty much always in my mind when I study health information, when I look at information coming from health authorities, right? These two quotes had a big impact with me very early on, and they actually come from two individuals who used to be editors of two of the top 5 medical journals in our world. Okay, so the first quote comes from a former editor of the New England Journal of Medicine, Dr. Marcia Angell, and she says, "It is simply no longer possible to believe much of the clinical research that is published or to rely on the judgment of trusted physicians or authoritative medical guidelines. I take no pleasure in this conclusion, which I reached slowly and reluctantly over my 2 decades as an editor of the New England Journal of Medicine." Next quote comes from a former editor of The Lancet, editor-in-chief actually, Dr. Richard Horton. And Dr. Horton says, "Much of the scientific literature, perhaps half, may simply be untrue. Afflicted by studies with small sample sizes, tiny effects, invalid exploratory analysis, and flagrant conflicts of interest, together with an obsession for pursuing fashionable trends of dubious importance, science has taken a turn towards darkness." Wow. Two former editors of two of the biggest medical journals in our world literally telling us that studies can be fudged, fabricated for all the reasons that Dr. Horton outlined, that much of the scientific literature and information we get from authoritative sources is wrong. We can't trust it. So are we going to trust this new Danish study that says, there's no link between neurodevelopmental dysfunction and injecting neurotoxins right into your blood? Doesn't make sense. And what a freaking coincidence. This study hit the news wires on Monday, shared everywhere, and the very next day on Tuesday, we get congressional hearings into vaccines. Urgent action is necessary to stop vaccine misinformation. Public health official warns during Senate hearings. And this kid here, infamous individual, almost as infamous as David Hogg these days, Ethan Lindenberger. He was that kid who claims that he went and got vaccinated once he turned 18 because he fact-checked his mom with, ironically, information on the internet. And he was at this Senate hearing saying how information on the internet is what made his mom anti-vax. So this congressional hearing was horribly one-sided. We had all of these, quote, medical authorities calling to censor vaccine information. This kid was even saying, yeah, there's a bunch of anti-vax information on Facebook, right? So public health officials going to the wall. We even had more doctors urge tech companies to stop misinformation. This time it was the president of the American Academy of Pediatrics, Dr. Kyle Yasuda. He sent letters to 3 tech companies, Google, Facebook, and Pinterest, urging them to do more about vaccine misinformation that spreads on their sites, which include YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, and the Google search engine. He wrote this in a press release that came out on Monday. Who would have thunk? Came out on the same day as that large new study that came out of Denmark. Wow, like freaking clockwork. We have all these doctors claiming we need to stop, quote, misinformation, these, quote, crazy conspiracies. We need to censor these tech companies. Doctors are calling for it. Politicians are calling for it. Adam Schiff putting out a tweet just the other day saying that he received a response from Facebook that they're going to do more to curtail misinformation on their search engines. So we have Adam Schiff, this crooked politician, trying to censor vaccine information. And we have Sheila Jackson Lee calling out the anti-vaccination movement. Yes, Sheila Jackson Lee, of all people. Congresswoman out of Texas. Anytime I see a picture of her, I'm always looking for those rings. What you into, Sheila Jackson Lee? So if Schiff and Sheila Jackson Lee are calling out the anti-vaccination movement, well, there's probably some legitimacy to that information, not just these crooked politicians, but probably a lot of crooked doctors, or just unfortunately ignorant doctors all caught up in their ego, don't realize the BS they're being fed by big pharma and the deep state brainwashing in our media and our education institutions. But nonetheless, Facebook deciding to ban vaccine advertisements in a new push against what they call vaccine hoaxes. So, Facebook, as Q, has been lighting up lately, telling us all these connections between Facebook and the CIA and 3-letter agencies and whatnot. Facebook caving in, deciding to censor vaccine information. I've seen it. I've seen memes get pulled. I've seen comments get pulled. I've seen stuff get shadow banned on Facebook. Absolutely, especially vaccine information. Recently there was that news story about the Stop Mandatory Vaccines Facebook group. Basically, the mainstream media trying to turn eyes on them, calling for Facebook to censor them. So it's getting crazy, getting really Orwellian out there, as I've been saying. And not just Facebook, but Amazon. There's been calls for Amazon to censor the, quote, misinformation on their platform as well. And they already have begun doing that. They took Vaxxed, the movie Vaxxed, off their Prime platform. They took a few other Vaccine Truth, not misinformation, Vaccine Truth information documentaries off their Prime platform. So Amazon beginning to do it, Facebook beginning to do it. We're going to see it much more so. Of course, Google already, when you search through their website or in YouTube, their algorithms are always pushing the content they want, the brainwashing content, to the front of the search. So there you go, guys. But the more one-sided it's getting, with this crazy congressional hearing, with all the state hearings that are going on that are also extremely one-sided, with the mainstream media and even local media all getting their talking points, making it so one-sided, I've seen this actually start to wake up people. So this might seem negative, but any negative you can always turn into a positive depending on your perspective. So all the one-sidedness is actually making people wake up. All the censorship is making people wake up even more. People are looking for what's censored. People are realizing, wow, the media is pushing all this in our face. Also, suddenly, I'm going to start scratching my head about that. Even normies, even the people who, aren't awakened quite as much are starting to wake up because of all of that one-sidedness. So that's good news. And we have more good news by way of, well, on one hand, CNN here outlining, trying to spin the context of this good news, as they always do. But they say here, even with measles outbreaks across the U.S., at least 20 states have proposed anti-vaccination bills. So this article is basically going to show how many state legislatures right now have bills going through to make it easier to get exemptions for vaccines. And then CNN calling them vaccine skeptics, citing, of course, the World Health Organization, all those medical authorities trying to spin this, and then basically calling anti-vaxxers a very powerful and very effective group. they interview Barbara Lowe Fisher of the National Vaccine Information Center. That's actually a good resource you can go to, NVIC.org. Check out that place if you want vaccine information. You can also check out Dr. Mercola, I believe was mentioned in this article. Mercola is a good resource, and then GreenMed Info and the Truth About Vaccines docu-series. They have a YouTube channel created by Ty Bollinger, who also created the Truth About Cancer docu-series. So those are some just quick references going to throw out there for you to go research yourself. Truth About Vaccines, Mercola, National Vaccine Information Center. I get a lot of messages from people asking me, some good resources, and there you go, show the way there. So I hope those resources help you. Definitely don't go to CNN or The Guardian or to Sheila Jackson-Lee or to Adam Schiff for that sort of info. And then more good news as well. Let's talk about the FDA commissioner resigning. So Trump made it known on Tuesday. I saw this first through his tweet. It says Scott Gottlieb, who has done an absolutely terrific job as commissioner of the FDA, plans to leave government service sometime next month. But I think we can gather that Trump is probably saying absolutely terrific job for the optics of it all, kind of trolling in this situation, because this guy's done a terrible job as the commissioner of the FDA. He was calling for states to mandate vaccines. He was trying to advance GMOs. He was ridiculously cracking down on the natural supplement industry. Dude did an awful job. Okay, so it's very good that he's out of there. And what a coincidence that the news broke that he was resigning the very same day that we had these congressional hearings into vaccines. And I actually see this as being actually a pretty big but subtle FU to Big Pharma and the deep state by the Trump administration, Q, and the White Hats, outing the FDA commissioner the same day that these vaccine hearings were taking place. And, I also get a lot of questions about people saying, well, what is Trump, what is Q doing about Big Pharma, about vaccines, about these sorts of topics, right? And you got to understand the strategy of it all. Being more public against Big Pharma would be very, very bad. The mainstream media would be activated to attack Trump very horrifically if he was more outspoken against Big Pharma. So what they have to do against the Big Pharma arm of the deep state is much more subtle unraveling, do it much more strategically and quietly. But we do see things like this that do give us hope that yes, they are attacking the Big Pharma arm of the deep state. We've been notified of that through Q's drops. So FDA commissioner out, and also more good news, again, the same day as those congressional hearings into vaccines, this news breaking, HIV positive man in UK is second known adult worldwide to be cleared of the AIDS virus. And again, another subtle FU to mainstream medicine, especially with the understanding that AIDS was probably created by the deep state to debilitate us and to funnel huge money grab for research, as we've been notified through Q. That's very heavy hitting information, right? And that's kind of my point, is that sort of stuff that we're lied to about health. We're literally lied to about ourselves. We don't know how our own bodies function because of the misinformation from health authorities, that a lot of these diseases were created by the deep state to debilitate us, to harm us, and to get more money, right? So there's no money in a healthy person, there's no money in a dead person, there's only money in a sick person that keeps coming back for more. And the pharmaceutical industry is probably one of the most profitable industries for the deep state. $1 trillion+ per year industry. And what is the most profitable product that Big Pharma makes? That is vaccines. It's probably why Amazon, news breaking that they're pushing into the pharmacy business, appointing a 14-year vet to run it. So, all this stuff going on, definitely I see shadow civil war of the Big Pharma arm of the deep state being taken down in it. And at least in regards to HIV and AIDS, like I said, most likely created. If you want to go down rabbit holes with that one, you can look into mycoplasma. I'll see if I can make a couple videos pop up or link down below. One of them you can look into an individual named Donald Scott. Donald Scott was a master of science, I believe, and he did a lot of good research connecting mycoplasma, these little bioengineered warfare agents. They're actually patented as well. There's a lot of patents that companies and people have for mycoplasma. So you can see it's probably been tinkered with and gotten out into the public somehow. And then Dr. Garth Nicholson, very esteemed scientist actually as well, who has done great research on what mycoplasmas are and how these mycoplasmas affect play a part in diseases like Lyme and fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue syndrome, and AIDS. When you have your immune system functioning at a lower level, you don't really know why, and you get a lot of these aches and pains, things like that. Mycoplasma, understanding what they do, how to get them out of your body, how they got into your body as well. Very eye-opening with all those subjects. So again, more resources you can go check out. They'll be linked down below. All the vaccine resources I was mentioning earlier, and then continued research on AIDS, mycoplasma. You can check that out. And one more thing in regards to AIDS, this particular news we're seeing on the mainstream is saying that it's the second known adult worldwide to be cleared of the AIDS virus. But if you research a lot of natural health remedies and how they function with AIDS, you can actually get a lot of testimonials from people who have basically looked to be cleared from the AIDS virus with very cheap, very effective natural remedies. One of those is MMS. You can literally YouTube MMS AIDS testimonials and find a whole list of them, of people who have tried MMS and it has helped, they say, healed their AIDS. And MMS is very cheap, very simple, actually. It's just a mineral called chlorine dioxide. And it's not normal chlorine, it's actually an oxidative mineral, so works very similarly to ozone or food grade hydrogen peroxide. It's very cheap, it's very effective, which is why the FDA puts out warning letters about it, and the mainstream media tries to tell you it's a bleach and it'll kill you, and Facebook has already censored Facebook groups and posts about MMS in the past. There was an individual in Washington State here named Daniel Smith who was jailed for selling it. So you can see the FDA, the deep state, attacking it so vehemently that it's probably really good for you. So check out MMS in regards to AIDS. MMS, great stuff in general. You can look into mycoplasma. You can look into all that vaccine research. I am just here to help show the way and to help put my experiences, my particular opinions, and the information that I find out there into the public. So hope you enjoy it all, guys. Hope you're knowing thyself, figuring out a little bit more about yourselves, which each of these videos I do, it's my only goal. Thank you for watching. I'll be back soon. Take care.